nobody teaches you how to think for yourself.
So we're starting the conversations.
So welcome back to Think Out Loud. Today we're exploring a question that's been on my mind for quite a long time. What are students actually paying for when they go to university? To think out loud about this, I couldn't think of a better guest than Dr. Zahi Ramadan. I had the privilege of being one of his students at the Lebanese American University, and he's been one of those professors who influenced the way students think usually. So through his work in academia research and a lot of awards that he received, he spent years helping students navigate education from a perspective very few people get to see. Dr. Zahi, it's a pleasure to have you here with me. Before we dive into today's conversation, would you mind briefly introducing yourself to the audience for those who don't know you?
Sure. Thank you, Tasfina. It's my own pleasure. Thank you for having me, and it's great to see you again after all of these years. So, my name is Zahi Ramadan. I was a LAU student, so at the Lebanese American University, a long time ago, and I graduated from there. I went directly into the corporate, world. I worked for many companies in marketing, so marketing is my area. I worked in Procter & Gamble, Nokia, Swarovski. I went to China. I was a consultant there with many of some of the my clients were PepsiCo, Samsung, and others. I did my doctorate degree at the University of Manchester, and then I switched to the academic world 12 years back. It's been a while. So I did a leap of faith, and then I fell in love with teaching as well. So I've been with LAU since around 2015, teaching marketing strategy, digital marketing, shopper marketing, and now metaverse marketing. So this is, in a nutshell.
That's actually quite interesting. Thank you so much for that introduction. So actually, Dr. Zahi, I'd like to start with a question that most of us never stop to ask. Basically, universities, as we know, have existed for centuries, and many of students, they invest a lot of time, years of their lives, mostly money as well. But what are students actually paying for when they go to university?
Today, there's a paradigm shift in terms of what you get from universities. Today, the information is vastly available, whether it's on the internet, through AI, through free courses that you can get around. And the value of universities is not today is in just giving you the information. The information is there. It's unlike the past 20, 30 years where you had to sit in a classroom, go into book chapters, and then try to get that information. The information is there. I think our the overall role of university is shifting. It's still there in terms of giving you the experience, giving you the way you think, the way you're going to use the information, prepare you to that particular career. And I think the focus now is much more on that part, which was still there. But I think maybe the focus was, long time ago, was more on information sharing. Today, we focus more on how we can shape that information, how we can shape your character, your personality, how to prepare you for what's upcoming there, in careers, and your thinking structure. So in my courses, it's not about giving you the information. It's about training you. It's about case studies and how you use AI as well. So I don't see it as university versus AI versus, information. It's basically complementing and integrating all of these throughout your journey, your learning journey, and what I would say your shaping journey, because we shape you as a person before you go and start your working career.
So if I want to summarize what you've just said, do you think that for now, knowledge is still university's biggest product? Or are we just saying that the myriad of things that you get throughout your university years are exactly what you're paying for? For example, it could be the knowledge, it could be the networking, it could be all of the things that you challenge yourself throughout your education in order to be able to become the person that when graduates, they have all of this baggage. Is that correct?
Exactly. It's not knowledge anymore. I mean, again, knowledge, you can get it from anywhere. I mean, from AI, from the internet, from so many different sources. I think university, exactly as you presented it, it's basically a package. It's how you can shape that particular personality, personal ambitions, personal thinking, in terms of training you on how to deal with difficult people, how to deal with loss of information, how to analyze. And I think critical thinking is becoming something that we are currently focusing on a lot. How you use that information that you're getting from AI, how do you analyze it? Because AI is just as good as your prompt, but basically how you analyze and how you use these. And I think it's a full journey, and it's a full experience that you can only get at university, working with peers, working with your teachers, and those teachers become your mentors, and then they become your friends, and then I have lots of students come back and tell me, we are doing this and this in our careers, and then we discuss a lot in terms of how things are changing. So you get something much more than just knowledge. You get really something like I would say like a much easier path in life, because that would make it much easier for people to to strive and to make it.
Of course. So Dr. Zahi, you mentioned AI several times during our discussion now. So what is your take about AI? And do you think AI will make universities more important or less important?
So that's currently the $1 million question, because when I scroll through LinkedIn, I see articles like
it's all about AI.
RIP, it's like universities are dead, and this is the new model of clone and the ChatGPT and Gemini. No, it's not like that. It's not like AI is going to make universities go away. I think. Again, it's when you look back at the industrial revolution, when the internet came along, and now when AI is coming along, things are changing, things are shifting, but universities are still there to actually teach you and for you to learn how to use AI, how to integrate AI in many different disciplines. In my own industry, in my own area, which is marketing, we definitely are using AI in lots of areas in terms of content, strategy, and other things. And what I'm currently where I'm shifting my focus in my own courses is that if you see the past few years, initially we were focusing on information, case studies, and these areas. The past couple of years, I've been actually focusing on how to use AI and prompt engineering and reverse prompt engineering. When you get something from AI, how do you actually use it in marketing strategy, so on and so forth, and then showcase how you can do it without AI, and then check how AI did it. And then I have students like, wow, this is something like we never thought like we are better than AI. And then in certain areas, I tell them definitely use AI, but this is how you need to use it and integrate it in your work. So I see AI as something that we are integrating within our learning journey. It's not something that is going to supersede universities.
Fair enough. And I think my take on this is exactly the same. However, I do feel that some students might fall into the trap of relying so much on these specific tools rather than challenging themselves to find the answer themselves. They just go on ChatGPT or they go utilize all of these AI tools and then rely a lot on that, which I think is something that we need to be more aware of. And I'm speaking that from my own specific experience as well. But Dr. Zahi, if we want to talk a little bit about the skills that universities teach, what skills do you believe universities still fail to teach specifically now, given everything that is happening? Do you think there are specific skills that universities should be teaching and they're still not teaching?
I think it's moving towards being more adapted to the needs of the industry. I don't think universities are moving fast enough, because again, I teach the senior years, so the last course that students take before graduating, and sometimes I'm really surprised that they are fully focused on memorizing certain concepts and that's it. And I think our role will be to move much faster in understanding what are the industry needs, what are the actual tangible things that you're going to be working on instead of the theoretical things. And I think this is where universities need to move much faster in integrating something that is really tangible for students. Like once they graduate, they know exactly what's waiting for them. It's not like they're going to go there and, just tell them like, this is what I learned. This is the project that I did. No, they can actually tell them about the case studies, the role plays, the negotiation deals, the internships that they have done. And this is what we need. And we need to focus a bit more on in shaping that particular employability of students.
Fair enough. Doctor, if you could redesign universities from scratch, how would you do that? What would you change?
That's a very tough question.
Given everything that you know now, based on your experience and everything that you've been through,
I think the conceptual, the theoretical part still is needed, because you need to learn, everything that has been done or has been invented or set previously. From a university experience perspective, maybe I would go more in terms of, having more practical stuff, live cases, maybe do live simulations, integrate things more with the industry. I'm talking from a business perspective, my area. Maybe do more incubation on certain ideas throughout the journey. So something really more practical that would, again, make students much more ready to once they graduate, that they're already ready to go into the marketplace. I don't think we have to redesign everything. I think we have a very good basis, but maybe become a bit more practical with certain skill sets.
Okay, this got me thinking about another question. For example, because we already graduated and we're so into academics and whatsoever, we know, both you and I, that we value a lot the degree of a university. But for example, there are so many people who, for example, don't give so much value to these specific certifications due to the fact that, for example, there are specific gaps when it comes to employability, there are specific gaps to the real world where you're headed, and all of these specific misconceptions. But what is your value, and what would you say to the people who do not value these specific certificates from university specifically?
Again, tough question, but I think it's, more than 20, 30 years ago, universities were seen like, this is the place to go. You get a degree, and then this is your path to get a job, right? And I do agree with you. The past few years, there were a lot of question marks on the value of university degrees. But again, I disagree, and I see the university degrees are such an important thing. Again, not from an information perspective, from a knowledge perspective, but as much as really shaping you as a person. I mean, when you graduate, when you finish school, you're not the same person that when you finish university. And when you go into an interview, let's say, and then they ask you about how you think about certain critical cases. If I give you a scenario on this particular issue happened on this brand, and then you're losing market share, and then we have this particular brand, how would you handle it? I bet you, if you don't have a university degree, if you did not go through all of the different steps of, deal making, understanding the steps, the scope, how to work on benefits, and then work on your strategy, you will not be able to, to actually answer those questions. So really, it's about shaping you as a person, and the experience that you get from university will actually change how you think. And I've seen it recently. I have seen it all in the past so many years with students. But my son just graduated, and I can tell you from a parent perspective, not from a professor's perspective, from a parent perspective, I can tell you my son, in his first year, he was a completely different person than when he just graduated now. I can tell you from a parent perspective, he matured so much, and he changed the way of thinking in so many different ways that a lot of people told me like, oh my God, he changed a lot. And it was the first time for me as a parent, I was like, wow, yeah, this is a different perspective than me being a teacher. And I saw that great value in the university degree.
Of course, I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying. Now it got me thinking again about something else. Now, let's imagine your son came to you and now he asks you, for example, let's say we go back in time, whenever he finished school and now he wants to get into university. And he asks you what major should he get into, what are the specific things that he's good at, how could he decide the specific major? What did you tell your son back then?
Now, this is a tricky question. I'm currently living it with my second son, who is about not next year, but the year after. And look, it's the only thing you know. I don't like to impose and tell them like this is something that you have to do, because you have to love the area that you want to study and then work and you know, if you just calculate the number of years that you're going to be working in, you know, more than 40 years, if you're miserable and you don't like what you do, it's a very long time to be miserable in. The only thing that I'm going to interfere with is just think about the type of jobs that you're going to be doing if you do that particular major. This is one. So if it's something that potentially you might love and you're going to be passionate about. And the second point, if it's not going to be obsolete with AI. So these are two very important points that you need to just direct, you know, students, potential university students, to think about, because you don't want them to go into a place where they don't really like what they're learning, and then knowing that potentially this particular area might change completely, and then they have to upskill or reskill themselves after that. So these are the main 2 points that I tell them to do. And then, of course, you have all of the, you know, open days, open doors, open days, you know, type of that universities do. And then they come on campus and then they go into these particular summer camps, and then they check if it's potentially something that they would be interested in. But, you know, this is as far as you might just interfere a bit or just tell them about the direction for their own good.
Okay, fair enough. But Doctor, I have a question. Now, how much do you think they are aware of what are the type of jobs available out there, and how much do they know about this? Because if you tell, for example, someone, think about the job that you love to do, well, they probably don't have the answer to that. They're probably not aware of all the types of jobs that are there. They're probably so lost to the extent that they're just going to picture something that is very familiar, probably say academics, or probably something that's within their house. And I think this is probably the trap that every specific student now have. And I think there are not much efforts being done in order to bridge this specific gap or to help the students focus a little bit or giving them the awareness needed. But how much awareness do you think they could potentially be having, and how should they be doing this?
I totally agree. I think there's a big need, there's a big gap in terms of preparing them during school years, at least the last 3 years, for them to know more about potential jobs, industries, you know, areas that they could actually work in. And I think we still have a lot to do there. I mean, universities, they're doing their best when they go to schools. During, you know, the last 2 years of the school years, they go and present, they share, they have summer camps, they have certain Saturdays where they you know, invite potential students to come and learn more about different you know, type of disciplines, majors that they could do. But it's not enough. I totally agree. It's not enough, especially for a student, for a child who is like 13, 14, or 15 years old. They have no clue, you know, what potentially they could like. Now, so there is a responsibility on schools to do more.
Yeah.
There is a responsibility on universities to be as well more active with that. And I think what you're doing and what other NGOs and other companies are doing is as well provide certain information, early information for students and parents. I think parents, they
Yeah,
need
exactly.
there's a big gap in terms of understanding like what my kids are going to be doing, if this is going to be really they're going to find a job or not. So I think these are super important to do that. And for parents, I think there's a particular thing that they could do. For example, of course, you cannot just tell your kid that you would be check what a brand manager does. They don't have a clue what a brand manager
Yeah.
is, or if be economist or be a lawyer, so on and so forth. But what they could do is that, for example, if you're watching a movie on Netflix or a series, or or an ad pops up, you can just give them an example like, did you like this ad? By the way, there's a job on that, where then
Okay,
imagine that
nice.
you could do 1, 2, 3, 4. You're watching a movie and then you have a lawyer, and like, by the way, this is a job of a lawyer, so you have to go and do 1, 2, 3, 4. So make it more tangible in terms of, this is the job, and if you like this, by the way, this is something that you might want to do. And my eldest son, who just graduated, we were playing these games. Like I used to send him, some campaigns, and he fell in love with that. Like, wow, this is interesting. Marketing is
Yeah.
interesting. And then sports marketing, and then digital marketing. So, and then you test, where they're
Yeah,
going with,
fair enough.
and then you help them with that.
Very good. I love that. And I think parents have a huge role in this, because we always think about this in the sense, okay, schools should be doing more, universities should be doing more, but then parents stand aside and they say that's the school's job or that's the university's job, which is something that's very good to touch upon. So before we deep dive into the small questions that I like to ask as closing, I just want to see your take or your perspective on the cultural majors, in the sense of, for example, let's say your son comes to you and then he wants to tell you, for example, that I want to do something related to photography, to music, to being a chef, or anything of these cultural, if you want, majors that most people, and I think in our society, we do have some sort of conception around these specific majors that potentially they're not as, I wouldn't say as important as other specific certificates, but at some point, we try to keep these on the side as classified as hobbies. And then we constantly tell, for example, people that are relatives or whoever comes to us with these specific ideas in mind, keep doing that, enjoy doing this, but at the same time, go do something that's much more, if you want, academic or much more business related or whatever. What is your take on this specifically?
Well, that's a very important and very timely question. And I think today, more than ever, with the age of AI, we need those
Yeah.
areas more than ever. So you talk about, photography, you talk about, things that are cultural in nature, arts and sciences.
Yeah.
And I think this is what humanity is all about. And I have so many articles, so many areas that talk about, today this is what is really needed, because this is something that you're going to go versus AI on that. This is humanity. Look, and I do agree with you. It's usually looked upon like, what type of job are you going to do? What type of salary are you going to get from it? My take on it is if you're passionate about it, if you really like that area, of course, go for it. But think on how you could how you could expand that area, what type of job or salaries you could get, and how you would expand yourself into that. But I think again, more than ever, I think these majors are so badly needed in the age of AI, and we need students to come to go into these disciplines and think on how they can expand them more.
Fair enough. I totally agree. Now we're coming to the closing of our specific episode. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you some very quick questions and then we're just going to close it. So basically, I just want you to tell me what could be the best investment that a student can make during university years.
Um, Basically internships and competitions. So
Okay, nice.
don't just focus on having a degree. Focus on the learning journey and on enriching your CV.
Okay. What is the most overrated career advice that you've ever received?
Maybe at the time I found it to be overrated, but when you're younger, sometimes you want to know everything. You want to know when you're going to be promoted and what you're going to do and when you're going to be a manager. And I was so into that. And one day, one of my managers told me, like, "What do you want?" And I told him, "What do you mean?" And he told me, like, "Do you want to be an employee? You're going to be an employee. You want to be a manager? You're going to be a manager. You want to head a startup? You're going to do that. What do you want?" And at the time, I was curious, like, "What do you mean?" And it's like overrated. It's like
Yeah, I
my
got you.
talk. But then after a while, it really resounded. I mean, for me, it was really interesting because the message was, you can become what you want whenever you want.
I like that. Thank you. Very nice. Now, what's one thing that university should stop teaching? It could be. It doesn't have to be a specific topic or a major or whatever. It could be just, for example, a specific ideology that the university have. It could be a specific, I don't know, mantra or myth or anything that you could think of that is formed during the university years that you think is no longer needed, for example.
Maybe not stop. Totally, but maybe put a bit less emphasis on memorizing stuff,
Okay,
and then do exams
fair.
on multiple MCQs and stuff. Focus more on the analysis, the write up, something that they could do, that they could learn from, instead of just memorizing stuff and then they're going to forget about it and then the upcoming few weeks or few months.
Okay, fair enough. And now for our last question for this specific episode. So let's imagine it's 2050 now and universities still exist. What's one thing you hope has completely changed about higher education?
My ambition is to see universities doing, very, very close integrated partnerships with industry. So
Okay.
it's not going to be like academia and then industry, because I don't see this as this versus this or this and then this.
Yeah.
I see it as something that should be integrated within the learning journey. Industries, companies being part of the learning journey, integrated with universities, and vice versa. And you cannot just stop learning. So vice versa. I want to see as well all of the learning and the experiences that you can get from the academic part embedded in terms of what you could learn on the job in the industry. So something that is very omnipresent in terms of tangible and the academic part.
Of course, Dr. Zahi, thank you so much for your time and for such a thought-provoking conversation. Everything that you've given us in this episode is very valuable for anyone watching this episode. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the inputs that you've provided. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tasmina. Thank you so much.